Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Liam's Hockey here on February the 11th, 2021, brought to you by Hosie and Brown Automotive, my dear friend Rod Brown. And in keeping with the little announcement I made a couple days ago, we'll be highlighting a garage, one of their clients, every show going forward. And later on, as we wrap this baby up today in a few minutes here, we'll be talking about my dear friend Donnie Frisby, from Frisby Tire in their 101st year of operation, if you can believe that. Family owned and operated for a century, folks, here in Ottawa. A century. More on that a little bit later. The problems with trying to post yesterday were because I'd like to figure out a way. I don't think I can, posting on YouTube. Unless I make them private or unlisted, I can still get the link, Rory, my son says. But bottom line is, I was playing snippets of a 70s tune. I guess I got away with it the first or couple times. But then yesterday, again, it was maybe 7-8 seconds, not even. And it was an ELO song. And I was going to talk a little bit about the group. I'm a big fan. I'm sure many of you are as well. They had a number of hits in the 70s. One in particular takes me back to my time at St. Pius X High School. And anyway, the algorithm that they have set up on YouTube picked it up and boom, blocked me for copyright. And I couldn't get it up there. I tried a couple of ways to backdoor it. It didn't work. We'll have to investigate that going forward because I really wanted to do that. And so maybe there's another way, or not, I'll figure that out if there is or not, because like I do when I take the shot of whiskey this look, I'm not Bob McKenzie here or Don Cherry or Spittin' Chicklets, but I do like to take 15 or 20 minutes, talk a little bit about some current or past hockey, and finish with a shot of whiskey and do some toasts. And I wanted to add a little 70s music component into that, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen, at least for the immediate future. Anyway, no big deal. So there won't be one today because I want to get this puppy up there. I got a couple things I want to acknowledge. And by not being able to post yesterday, I was unable to do a toast, which I will today and include them in it. Maguire's, the restaurant that bears my name. So proud of this affiliation and association. Was 18 years, ladies and gentlemen. 18 years yesterday since we opened at Liam's. I remember it well. I went in there the latter part of the afternoon, early bit of the evening. It had just been converted from a Hooters. It was owned by Keith Taggart. He owned all the Hooters, sold them off, took that one there in the East End, and turned it into a place that carries my name. I mean, it's still so surreal. Even when I was driving to Hosie and Brown, who work 5 minutes, their main office is 5 minutes from Liam's, which is at the corner of St. Laurent and Ennis, Hosie and Brown, just a little further. I drive right by it. And, all this 100 cars at that intersection every day. And I'm thinking, man, there's my name on this place. However much longer it lasts. God willing a while, but you never know, right? But it's been 18 years yesterday, and what a blessing. And Keith Taggart sold it less than a year in. He sold it on Halloween, I believe, 2003, or November 1st. I think it was Halloween. To the current owner, the man who's had it basically the whole time it's been in operation, Leo Dion. The only reason the place is open is because of Leo Dion. Should have shut in 06, 07. He kept it open. He did all the renovations. And the number of places that haven't made it through this pandemic, and as it stands, as of today, it looks like we're still hanging in there waiting for the green light to get back in and at least serve people on a limited capacity again like we were before. And if that continues to be the case, then we're all lucky for it, because it is a good spot. After the renovations, I think we're the nicest looking spot east of Bank Street, and I'm very, very proud of it. We have an incredible group of regulars and an unbelievable staff. It's managed so awesomely by Vanessa Crowder. And when you think of Shannon Weir and, of course, Jamie and Leo obviously has assembled these people, and everybody else that's currently there or has been in the past has all contributed in some way, shape, or form to a place that carries my name. So incredibly proud of that. I'll be including them in the toast later with, of course, a shot at Jameson's. And 18 years. That's not insignificant in the restaurant business. I don't care by hook, by crook, how you did it. It's an amazing accomplishment. And as I said, God willing, when we do get the green light, I'll be right back there with you, hammering a Molson X back and a shot of whiskey. So congrats to Liam Maguire's, Leo Dion, and all of the staff, past and present, for 18 fabulous, fantastic years at Saint Laurent Boulevard, corner of Innis and Industrial on the other side. Also today, a little bit of hockey history before not going to go too long today, although I probably will. I got to talk about the Habs and Leafs last night. But this is a unique anniversary because it fell on a Thursday as well. 50 years ago today, I was sitting in our back kitchen on the first line. I could drive there in 10 minutes, although the back kitchen's gone. The house has basically been gutted. But that's where we basically grew up. And it was a Thursday, much like today. And the Montreal Canadiens were on TV. Now, they normally didn't have Thursday night broadcasts in those days. It was Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesday we would watch on CTV, Hockey Night in Canada on the Saturday. If the Leafs were on Hockey Night in Canada, which they often were, we would just watch the Habs. We were very fortunate here in the Ottawa area. In those days, that was Rideau Township where we lived. And we were very lucky in that we had French CBC who carried the Canadiens as well. René Lecavalier on the play-by-play. The recently retired Gilles Tremblay on the color. They were an institution on French hockey broadcasts. So we watched the game. It was a Thursday night. Montreal was playing Minnesota. I never missed a game on TV in those early years. I was 11 years old, a few months before my 12th birthday. And Jean Beliveau was sitting at career goal number 497. And he had a deceptive shot, even at that age. He was 39 years old. He scored his first one on a slap shot on goaltender Gilles Gilbert. He scored his second one on a great pass down low from Frank Mahovlich. That's goals now 498 and 499. And then this is still early in the game. This is in the second period. He takes another pass from Frank Mahovlich. Phil Roberto had sent the puck to Frank to Jean, who went in, deked out the D. I don't want to say if it was Freddie Barrett or not. I haven't seen the video in a long time. But Freddie Barrett, my dear friend from Leitrim, the arena there is named after his father. The Fred Barrett Arena is named after Fred Barrett Sr. And Freddie was a rookie with the Minnesota North Stars at the time. On the ice, I think, possibly for Belivau's 500th. Anyway, Jean scored 500, and the 500 came up with all the stars around it, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And it's incredible memory. Our only source of heat in that room was an old wood stove, and we had to keep that thing cranked in the winter. And it was a roaring fire. I remember it vividly. A Thursday night, just like tonight, a half century ago. Man, I'm really showing my age, but I'll tell you what, it was a special time. We were all out there. Beliveau was a big part of my mother's life as well. He came to Quebec City as a young man, 16 years old, to play junior. My mother's from a little village north of Quebec City called Stoneham. And she, along with her siblings and that entire generation, grew up idolizing Jean Beliveau. They called the Quebec Coliseum the house that Jean built at that time. The crowds were astronomical. He was so dominant, and he turned pro with the Quebec Aces in the Quebec Senior Hockey League and rebuffed every single attempt by the Montreal Canadiens to get him to sign. He could have played in Montreal 4 years earlier than he did. His numbers would have been significantly better. Not to say they're bad at 507 goals, 712 assists, but he would have had significantly better numbers, and it didn't matter. He was being treated like royalty in Quebec, winning scoring championships, trophies, MVPs, you name it. And the only reason the Habs got him is he had signed a B form with them instead of a C form, so they owned his pro rights, but not exclusive. So he could go and play and make money on another team. Just couldn't be in the NHL. So he couldn't have left Montreal in that sense, but he didn't have to play for them if it was in another league. And he was quite comfortable making $25,000 a year in 1951. That's incredible. There were only 2 men in the NHL making more than him, Gordie Howe and Rocket Richard. That's it. So the only way the Habs got him in 53 was they did 2 things. One, they bought the league. They bought the entire league, and they, by owning the league and turning it pro under the auspices of being owned by the Montreal Canadiens, I'm kind of paraphrasing, shortening it all down. It's a little bit more complicated, but by buying the league under Montreal's umbrella, if you will, it became a level of pro that has the Quebec Senior League it was not regarded as, meaning that because the B form he had signed, he now then had to play for Montreal. That's number one. Question was, what were they going to pay him? Which led to that famous quote from Frank Selke Sr., then the general manager of the Montreal Canadiens, who said, when he was asked by the reporters after, how'd you get him to sign? He said, I just brought him in the office, opened up the vault, and said, Jean, help yourself. And believe me, I don't think that's too far-fetched of a statement. He got the highest paid contract that you could give to anybody at that time, and he didn't win the Calder Trophy, much like Gordie Howe didn't win it. A lot of stars don't win the Rookie of the Year, but he certainly within a year or two made his unbelievable, incredible play known to hockey fans the world over. So on this day, 50 years ago, and he'll be included in the toast, Jean Beliveau, assisted by Frank Mahovlich and Phil Roberto, on goaltender Gilles Gilbert, not Cesar Maniego, but Gilles Gilbert, got his 498, 499, and 500th career goal. One more quick little segue on that, only because Gilles Gilbert, unfortunately, was not only the losing goaltender, but gave up Belivau's hat trick for 500 career goals. The date, today's date, February 11th, not a good date in Gilles Gilbert history. 11 years later to the day, so on this date now in 1982, so we're talking 39 years ago, now Gilles Gilbert is in net for the Detroit Red Wings. They're playing the Vancouver Canucks. They're leading the Canucks 4-2 in the third period when referee Kerry Fraser, beloved by all, especially Leaf fans, calls not 1, but 2 penalty shots on Detroit. And Vancouver gets awarded 2 penalty shots. They're taken by Thomas Gradin and Ivan Alinka. They go in on Gilles Gilbert and they score on both and tie up the game 4-all. At least it ended in a tie. No overtime. It started actually the following year in 83 when it came back in the NHL. But at that time, 4-all tie. Again, on the same date, February 11th. 11 years earlier, he gives up Belivau's 500th. But as I understand it, Gilles Gilbert has been quoted as saying many times that he considers it an honor now, not in hindsight, but to reflect and look back and say, yeah, I gave up Belivau's 500th. That's not a bad thing. And really, that's kind of the effect that Beliveau had on most of the opposition, let alone certainly the entire fan base of the Montreal Canadiens the world over. He's one of the greatest players, one of the greatest centers, and one of the greatest captains in NHL history. Le Gros Bill, Jean Beliveau, 500th. So we started with a little history there. Had to do that one. Just a couple quick comments here. Then we'll get into some toasts and wrap her up. Habs-Leafs last night. Leafs were full measure for that win. 4-2, empty netter. I think that cause for concern for Montreal on a couple of little fronts for sure. Number one, Carey Price. He's got to be better. He made so many outstanding saves last night. It's not that Toronto peppered him, like Montreal outshot them. Leafs had better chances. I saw some of the fancy stats that the Leafs' slot chances were significantly better than Montreal. You don't need to be a hockey Einstein to have seen that. The Leafs cycled down low, vastly superior to Montreal. But more importantly, their play in their own end was really, really good last night. They choked off the Habs on so many plays, little plays that they'd been making successfully in most of the other games that they've won so far in this short season. About a quarter way through, as we know, 56 games. Everybody's pretty much at that point, at least in the North. Some teams in the States, because of COVID, are going to be a while and may not get there. Regardless, Leafs played really well, I thought. It wasn't like Frederik Andersen had to be Terry Sawchuk back there. He made some big saves when counted on. I don't even really blame him so much on Josh Anderson's first one. that beat them. I mean, goalies get beat through the 5-hole all the time. There's always an opening there. A lot of goaltenders, depending on the shot, circumstances, and whatnot, they get the 5-hole closed and they make the save. But a lot of times that puck goes in. And Josh Anderson is a premier player. He's a premier winger. He came in with great speed and a little shoulder shimmy, and he snapped her home, gave Montreal an early lead. And they unfortunately had no crowd to feed off of in that sense. Somebody mentioned that to me on Twitter earlier. Thought it was a good point. And I'd say the Habs had slightly better of the play in the first period. But as the second progressed, and really through most of the third, until they made it 3-1 and sat back a little bit, really it was all Toronto. And on two fronts, they dominated down low on the cycle. They scored 2 goals 4-on-4. I mean, the Habs, first of all, even though they've got 7 shorthanded goals, they are not good. Not good on the penalty kill, and now their power play is just absolutely 100% reverted back. 2 plays in particular, Shea Weber, Jonathan Drouin, 2 instances, not keeping the puck in when good power play movement was happening in the offensive zone. And they're killer plays. Look, the puck bounces and jumps sometimes. It's just not your way. But you got to bear down and make those plays. That's why you make the big bucks. Not a good day, not a good night overall for Shea. And nor his partner, Ben Sherratt. He had a really, really tough time handling the puck. And on the 4-on-4, that was a fire drill back there for the Habs, how they were handling the puck prior to, especially the last minute in each of those instances, the 4-on-4s. And not good. They didn't look good. Carey Price didn't look good. And they scored 2 goals. And, I mean, Anderson full on. Tatar got his 4th broken play. They happen. So they go in. You know, they all count. They find the back of the net somehow. It doesn't matter. So 4-2 empty netter, and Toronto was full measure for it. Habs get a return engagement with them Saturday, but you got to play probably what's going to be a somewhat angry Edmonton team first tonight. Even though they beat the Sens back-to-back games, they got absolutely walked in that second one. Outshot 42-22, outchanced, dominated everywhere, upside down and all around, except in one category between the pipes. And it's not that Koskinen was kicking him out like Grant Fuhrer. I mean, Hogard needs an extensive or an extended or maybe a permanent trip away from the National Hockey League. Like, this man should not be in a crease in the NHL in any instance anytime soon. Nothing against him personally. I mean, obviously, 26 years old. I think Ottawa were expecting more. I'm sure he was. But this isn't, folks, this isn't just a lack of confidence. This guy can't positionally play the position right now. He can't play it positionally. It's unbelievable, really, to watch it. I mean, the guy's coming in with the puck, must be going, what the hell's he doing? It's like he's heading to the canteen for a hot dog and a pint. He's so far out of the crease. So, not good. I think you'll see a heavy dose going forward of Matt Murray, no doubt tonight against Winnipeg. We'll see, I think, in Edmonton's net with Mike Smith. Koskinen's not horrible, and he's played more than any goalie this year. Like, he's not horrible by any means, but that's just not a good team. And Montreal's going to have an angry team tonight, especially McDavid and Draisaitl. They really didn't do much in both games against Ottawa. They did nothing in the second, at least in terms of the scoreboard. There were some chances, some good plays, but Ottawa did a tremendous job. Deserved a better fate. Didn't get the goaltending in game 2, and look, their scoring is dried up too. And you know, that Josh Norris was going and Nick Paul was going early, and they've kind of fallen back. And Stutzler's going to get his chances. He's going to get his cookies. He'll get his points. But, I mean, the kid's 19. What do you want? Brady is what you see is what you get. He never takes a shift off. I've already said I'm a fan of the guy. Said it repeatedly. And Brady to Chuck. And, you know, now they've gotten some scoring. You got Daddy has scored a couple games in a row. Now he actually shot one in, Dadenoff. And Connor Brown got his second of the year. And he looked pretty pumped. And he's a guy who last year, until the season ended, looked like he was turning things around and could maybe justify a spot in the lineup and maybe higher up in the lineup and could contribute offensively. So Ottawa's got their own crosses to bear. There's no doubt about it. They're facing a Winnipeg Jet team who's just come off their mini-series against Calgary, losing the last game 3-2. And they're right in the thick of it, has pretty much the gut of the North is. Leafs are pulling away. Sens are down. and the other 5 are right there. Habs have a little bit of a cushion, but you want to see how fast that evaporates if you throw 2, 3, 4 losses in a row on the board. And this is what they have to try and guard against tonight, and then just try and prepare against for a Leaf team that, in my opinion, looked a whole lot better last night than they did opening night against Montreal, where the Habs were clearly the better team, and that thing was just last shot wins, and the Leafs got it in OT. Last night, they were across the board the better club. So big nut for Montreal to crack there, and we'll see how they do tonight against Edmonton. We'll see how Draisaitl and McDavid do, and we'll see how Ottawa does against Winnipeg in Winnipeg. So Ottawa starts another 5-game trip, which I think includes at least 3 games in a row against Toronto. So they're going to have their hands full, man. That Leaf team is a handful. Every time they come up the ice, they're a threat offensively. They, like even the Milkman last night. Look at the back-checking plays. Their back pressure and the way they cut off secondary passes in the offensive zone. Montreal has owned that this year. Not last night. Last night was the least amount of ice time the fourth line has played for Montreal. They have rolled 4 lines almost exclusively all year. When I say roll, I mean that fourth line is playing on average minimum 12 minutes, usually around 13. Last night you had Corey Perry at 12, and both Lehkonen and Jake Evans were under 10 minutes, first time. Now, when you're chasing the game, you're chasing the score, probably going to do that. Paul Byron's back in tonight. Corey Perry's out. Byron was a healthy scratch. You're always going to make a couple changes after a loss. Don't think they're doing anything on the back end in terms of Victor Mete, but they've got to be better across the board, starting with Carey Price. He's got to figure it out. He's got to figure it out, man. He's down too early. To me, it's as simple as that. I never played the position recreationally in all my life growing up. I might have stood in the net maybe 4 times and for about 5 seconds. Hated the position, but always wanted a tender every time you played. You need a target. You need somebody up there to make whatever game. Could be an innocent game of ball hockey or road hockey, all the way up to whatever ice hockey you may have played. You want a tender in there. But holy cow, Carey is reverting back down to that drop into that butterfly as soon as there's an inch, a hint of trouble. He's on his knees. I used to say back in the day, I remember I did a gig once with Billy Smith, Ron Tugnut, and Patrick Lalime. And I'm on the microphone in front of the crowd. This is when Carey really started to slide initially after 2016, 2017, in and around that time period after Canada won the World Cup in 2016. He kind of really started going down after that. And I was going, the national anthem finishes playing and the guy's on his knees. Like, the butterfly, I get it, okay? Glenn Hall, Tony Esposito, Roger Crozier, I get it. But Jesus, you know, if he stands up on both those shots, they don't beat him. I just don't get it. I mean, anyway, they got to sort that out. Got a great goalie coach, and look, saw what Price did in the bubble last year, and he made some saves last night. When it was 3-1 Toronto, they could have ran away with it 4-1. Instead, Habs come back, 5 minutes left. Tatar gets the fluke. It's a 1-goal game, and that's the other thing. I got to look it up. I don't know when was the last time Montreal scored a goal with the goalie out, and that stat is available on NHL.com. I'm going to check it, and I'll have it for the next Liam's Hockey. Oh, my God. They can barely get possession in the offensive zone, let alone have a good, legit chance of scoring. And they give up, it seems to me anyway, they give up more empty net goals than anybody. But that's always the way, right, when you look at your own team. You go, oh, my God, the sky is falling, or oh, my God, we're the greatest. And there's not a lot of in between, but I've been maintaining all along that there was no Canadian team that I would rank in the top 5. I'll change that now. And I will move the Leafs into the top 5. I will say they could be as high as 4th, potentially, of what I've seen so far play in the NHL. I still think whoever wins the North is immediately losing in the semifinal. But to have an opportunity to win 2 series, which will be best of 7s, and build up some momentum and some confidence, whoever it may be, might allow you at least not to get swept in the semifinal. But yeah, it's not going to be pretty. These Canadian teams are playing against each other, and you're just playing a bunch of really weak siblings here, is what it is. Not really weak, but compared to the top teams of what I've seen. including defending Stanley Cup champions, Las Vegas and Boston. Those three in particular right now have really separated themselves just in the last 2 weeks. So anyway, lots of hockey to go. So that's that. We'll see what happens tonight. 10 games, 4 postponements. Time for a little whiskey, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Frisby Tire. My good friend Donnie Frisby. So as mentioned, each show will highlight a garage that's affiliated and associated with Hosie and Brown, or the title sponsors here at Liam's Hockey, taking it right through until the Stanley Cup is awarded. Thank you, Rod. And they have asked me to start off with Frisby Tire, which I think is fantastic. They just came off of 2020, where they celebrated their 100th anniversary. You believe that, folks? This place started in 2020, the business. I believe it was George Frisby was his name, and I think his nephew James took it from there. Don is the third family member. This goes back, as I said, 101st years, 101st year celebrating. They're on their head office, their head location is located on Clyde Avenue, 1377. I think they have 5 locations in Ottawa. So all you got to do, Google's your friend. Look, let me put it to you this way. They've got every single tire imaginable. They are the #1 tire shop in the region of Ottawa-Carleton, probably within hundreds of miles. If you need a tire or want a tire, they are the place to go. They are the place to check with, investigate, get their price, find out, at least talk to them at Frisby Tire. That main location on Clyde Avenue. Now, I know what a lot of you are saying, as you're thinking, wait a minute. 1377 Clyde. Wasn't the Capri just in behind there? Just over around the corner? Yes! Yes, the Capri, which became Brian Kilray's. And I remember the Capri. Rod Brown remembers the Capri. We used to drink in there. So you're right. Clyde right around the corner if you're heading north on the right-hand side. Now, some of you are saying, well, whoa, Liam, you go the other way and it becomes Maryville. On the left was the Sunken Dory, where Archie Reddy used to hang his hat. Yes, you know the area. Across the road, now you're into the Fanatics and Local Heroes and those places, right? And if you turn the clock back 30-some years and went down baseline and hung a right on Fisher, there was a place called the Original Six. But there you have it. Frisby Tire, 1377 Clyde Avenue, the #1 tire shop. Client of Hosie and Brown. Donnie Frisby, my dear friend. I'll tell you something else. 25 years ago, I go into the man's office, knock on the door, say, Don, I'm in trouble. I'm running a hockey team in the RA. It's a men's team, and it's full contact. This is the real deal. I'm the coach, and we need a new set of unis. Like, we need new uniforms and socks and everything else. And he said, what do you need, Liam? I told him, and he said, done. So we got new sweaters and socks, courtesy of Frisby Tire. That became our name. I ran that operation for a couple of years with some of the best hockey guys from Ottawa that played Junior A in our area. And I think of a guy like Gil Egan, who I think knew Donnie personally, and Donnie found out he was on the team. That may have helped. But this is the type of thing that Don Frisby has done for years. Family owned and operated for 101 years. 1377 Clyde, the main operation. 5 other locations. Toast here for Liam Maguire's 18 years. Toast here for the Go Bill, Jean Beliveau, 50 years ago tonight, his 500th goal. And a toast here for my dear friend Don Frisby at Frisby Tire. Keep it going, buddy, and I hope to see you soon. Everybody stay safe. Enjoy the hockey tonight. Let's hope we have some hostilities. G'day.